Hi guys, Ursa Dia here, and I'm back with another anime episode. Today I'm going to be listing off 10 of what I would consider hidden gem animes, which are animes that I have really enjoyed that are a bit obscure or used to be popular but aren't as popular anymore, or ones that I just really enjoy and think that more people should watch. So they're kind of like hidden gems that you guys may or may not have heard of. And so hopefully after watching this, you guys might have a couple anime that you want to check out. So let's get into it. So first up on the list, I put Devil's Line. Devil's Line is a mature dark fantasy show about vampires attempting to live in human society and a team of specialists who take out the ones that develop bloodlust. It focuses on a woman named Tsukasa who falls for Anzai, a half-vampire who is part of the specialist team. The plot is very mature and deals with some dark themes. I'm actually going to put a list of trigger warnings that happen in the show so that you can be prepared if you decide that you want to watch it. Apart from that, though, I thought that the show was very suspenseful and very intense. The opening song is actually my favorite I Always Showed a song ever because it's like really hardcore and not his typical style. And the ending song is done by Miyano Mamoru, who is just amazing in general. So I definitely recommend this show if you enjoy suspenseful, mature shows with bits of romance in it. But yet again, just beware of the trigger warnings. Next up, on a much lighter note, is Mimito Lollipop. So Mimito Lollipop, or known in English as Save Me Lollipop, was actually the first anime that I discovered entirely on my own, and it's been one of my favorite anime for about a decade. Before I watched this, I mainly would watch anime that my sister and her friend would recommend to me, or that I found was shown at like one of the anime conventions that I went to, which is how I really got my start into actually watching anime. And so this show was like the first one that I found entirely on my own without any like outside like say in it. Mimito Lollipop is a shoujo fantasy rom-com about a girl named Nina who accidentally swallows a magic pearl that's being used for a magical exam. And now all of the examinees are after her, and it's up to Zero and Ichi to protect Nina and try to win the magical examination. The show is very cute and very funny, and a fun fact about the show is that all of the main characters' names are based off of numbers. And I was pretty smart in that I picked up on that the very first time that I watched this show. I'm really stupid, though, in that until this past summer, I didn't think that they had a character for number 2. And I always thought it was weird because I thought that Nina was not based off of a number. And it wasn't until I reread my favorite volume of the manga over, like, the summer that I actually connected that Nina was the number 2. And so I felt really stupid because it was 10 years that I was a fan of this anime, of this manga, and I always thought it was weird that Nina wasn't based off of a number and that they didn't have a number 2. Only for me to realize that Nina was a number and Nina was the number 2. So I feel really stupid about that. Like, I easily connected when like the characters were like number 6 or like number 8 and like 10 and stuff like that. Like, I easily connected that shit, but did you think that I understood that Nina was Ni for number 2? I was like completely, nope, just way over my head. But it's a really cute show. If you like shoujo, like rom-coms with like hints of fantasy, definitely recommend it. It's a bit older, but it's really funny and really enjoyable. Next on the list is Daybreak Illusion. If you're a fan of Puella Magi Madoka Magica, this show is a need to watch. If you thought Madoka was a dark magical anime, Daybreak Illusion makes Madoka seem like it's sunshine and rainbows. The magical girls in the show deal with very dark subjects, especially towards the end of the show, so much that here's a list of trigger warnings in case you want to watch the show and are sensitive to certain subjects, because it does need to be trigger warned. But while the themes are dark, the show is actually still really good. One of my favorite things about the show is that each magical girl's power is based off of one of the major arcana tarot cards, and I love that because I'm a major fan of tarot cards. And also, the opening song is sung by Lisa, who's well known for singing the openings of like SAO and Demon Slayer. So you know that the opening slaps like hardcore. So I highly recommend this if you liked Puella Magica, or if you just like dark magical girl things, or are looking for something kind of new to branch out in, but yet again, just be wary of the trigger warnings, because if you thought Madoka was dark, this one deals with a lot more and a lot worse, darker themes. So just be wary, but it is a really great show and has some really good animations, so definitely check it out if you can. Next on the list is honestly one of my favorite animes, and that is Gosek. So if you like mysteries or historical anime, I would recommend watching Gosek. Gosek takes place right before World War II and follows a Japanese boy named Kujo who studies abroad in a fictional European country and meets a strange girl named Victorique who has a knack for solving mysteries. Together, the two of them struggle to solve mysteries and criminal cases, as well as attempt to deal with Victorique's family and her history. One of the things that I loved about the show is that most of the mysteries that Kujo and Victorique solve are actually based on the country's ghost stories and urban legends, which are like all made up for the show, given that they're in a fictional country. But it's still like really cool how it kind of ties in like this fake literature for the country into like what's actually happening in like the present day for them. So I thought that was really cool as like a literature major myself. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And I do want to point out that it is a fictional country. The first time I watched it, I was really bad with my geography, and I did think that they were in a real European country that I had just never heard of. But it is fictional, and I've learned since then. I watched this like years and years ago, but it's really good. I wish it had a second season. I know the manga goes farther, but I wish I could see it animated because it's just really, really good. So highly recommend that one. And then next on the list is another one of my favorite series, and that is Pandora Hearts. I'm not going to get too into this show because I'm actually going to be releasing a separate video that focuses entirely on Pandora Hearts and the other series by the mangaka Mochizuki Jun. But I will just give a brief synopsis of the show. The story follows Oz, the heir of the Vasilius house, who gets dropped into the abyss because of a sin unknown to him. There he meets a girl named Alice who wants to find her memories. The two start their journey to find Alice's memories and discover what Oz's sin is. It's a really good show, but I will warn that the ending of the show is a bit lackluster, especially compared to the manga, because the show was made way before the manga finished, and so a lot of shit happens after the manga and answers a lot of things that didn't get answered in the anime. But like I said, I will get into that in the other video. So moving on, next is Kono Ototomarei, which I've talked a little bit in my first anime video, but I'm going to go a bit more in depth here. Kono Ototomarei is about a high school koto club made up of a group of ragtag students, from a delinquent with murder rumors floating around him to a proper and strictly trained koto player with family issues. Together, the group struggles to learn how to play the koto, keep their club from being disbanded, and attempt to win nationals. The story creates really strong friendship bonds and great character development, and it pairs it all incredibly with beautiful koto music. I definitely recommend this one. It's one that'll make you laugh, but also tug at your heartstrings. It's a really good, just kind of like found family and like friendships healing, like people in general. And it pairs it with great, like traditional Japanese music. So definitely recommend it. It was one that I actually only watched because I always showed us saying the openings for it, and I ended up really enjoying it. So definitely recommend that one. Next up is Inspector. If you like supernatural mysteries with intense psychological mind games and battles, then boy is this show for you. Inspector follows Kuro, a human with interesting ties to the supernatural world forced upon him by his family, and a strange girl named Kotoko, who was chosen by the yokai to act as a mediator for them. Together, the two fight to find the truth about a death of an idol who seems to be attacking people with a steel beam, and find that the case is actually more difficult and more personal than they thought. Apart from the show having an amazing name that plays on the word inspector with the word specter because they deal with supernatural creatures, which I love the name so much. It also just has really unique characters, a very intense plot, and lots of big brain battles that will keep you at the edge of your seat and wondering what the hell is happening next, and also sometimes what the hell is happening in general, because at certain parts I was not smart enough to keep up. They do dumb things down for you though, which is good. But really smart, high IQ characters, really interesting, unique characters, and a really cool way of tying the supernatural world to the human world. So I definitely recommend checking it out. It's really, really cool. Next on the list is another one of my favorites, and it's actually one of the more recent favorites for me, and that is Jibaku Shonen Hanako-kun. And seriously, if you followed me on social media within the past year, you've probably seen me talk about this show. I was drawn into the show for its uniquely cute and saturated art style and an interesting premise for the storyline, and I quickly became very obsessed with it. The show is still pretty new and was very popular when it came out, but I added it to this hidden gems list because I felt like lots of people overlooked it because it does seem a bit on the cutesy side. The story follows Yashiro as she gets mixed up with Hanako, who is one of the school's 7 supernaturals, and she ends up becoming his assistant. Together, the two of them, as well as an exorcist in training, Ko, team up to find out who is causing the supernaturals to turn bad and get all wacky. The story's pretty faithful to the manga, only skipping one arc out of what was released manga-wise at the time. And it's actually my guess that they will work that missing arc into the beginning of the second season. That is, if they get a second season, and I sure hope it does because I want to see the future arcs animated. But it's really good. I love the characterization, and the art style, like I said, is very unique, which is what originally drew me to it. But it's like a really funny story, but also can get really intense at times. So I definitely recommend, if you overlooked it because you thought it was cutesy, give it a shot because it has a really unique way of playing on the school's like 7 supernatural stories. So definitely check that out. Next on the list is, and this is going to be a mouthful, but it's long to say in English and it's long to say in Japanese. And that is Monaiji tachi ga isekai kara kuru so desu yo. And in English, that is, problem children are coming from another world, aren't they? So Monaiji, for short, is the original No Game, No Life, and that's the honest truth, and you can fight me in the comments if you think otherwise. But The premise of the story is 3 gifted individuals from different timelines of the real world are isekai'd into a world where they get to partake in intense games. They join a community that has lost basically all of their status and land, and together they enter high-stakes games to restore the community to its former glory and then some. You can't tell me that's not No Game, No Life, except Monaiji did it first. Did I mention there's also a hot badass bunny maid character who's in charge of keeping these problem children in line? 'Cause there is, and I love her. But definitely watch the show if you enjoyed No Game, No Life. It used to be pretty popular, but that was years and years ago, and I think once No Game, No Life was released, it definitely overshadowed it. But yeah, it was the original No Game, No Life. Many similarities in just like the plot. But Monaiji was really, really good. It had some great characters, some great battles. So if you like No Game, No Life, definitely check out Monaiji. And last on this list is Lovely Complex. And so Lovely Complex is one of my favorite shoujo rom-coms. It used to be popular, but it's pretty old now, so lots of newer anime fans probably don't know about it. And when I say it's pretty old, I don't mean like 4 or 5 years old. I mean, I used to read the manga chapters in Shoujo Beat magazines. That's how old it is. But it's a story that's made me laugh, it's a story that's made me cry, it's a story that's made me cry from laughing. It's just so good. The story is about a really tall girl named Kozumi and a very short boy named Otani, and the two often get into fights, which their peers seem to think of as a comedy routine. And so they don't really get along. But after they discover each other's crushes, the two decide to work together to try to date their crushes. But love is never that simple. And this show will have you laughing, crying, and yelling at the screen, just begging the characters to kiss already. It is quite literally a lovely complex, a great rom-com. Highly recommend it if you want some good laughs. And if you want to also cry, it'll build up your heart and then break it. It is just so good, and does a really, in my opinion, accurate depiction of what love is, especially as you're in your high school kind of like stage in life and just trying to figure out like what you're doing with your life, but also trying to like make connections with people. It's just done in a really, really well done way. So I really recommend it. But yeah, that is 10 shows that I consider to be hidden gems. They might not be popular. Some of them are popular. Some of them were popular. But they are ones that I've personally really enjoyed that I feel like lots of people have either overlooked or have never heard of. And that like seems to be the issue with me is I love watching like popular anime as much as anybody else does, but I also watch really obscure shit that nobody knows about. So I kind of made this one to kind of showcase some of the more obscure ones that I think could do really well, but just haven't because they're more obscure, or shows that are older and so they used to be popular but now newer fans wouldn't know about them because they happened not so long ago. I mean, all of them were made within like the past like 10-15 years ish being like the kind of key word there. But definitely all within, I think, 15 to 20 years. So some of them are a bit older, but still really good. So if you don't mind taking a chance on older shows or on really obscure shows, I definitely recommend checking these ones out. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys have watched any of these, if you have, what your opinions of them are. If you haven't watched any of these and then you go and watch them, please come back to this video and let me know what you think of them. Because I'd be really interested in knowing what you guys think, and also would be very happy to hear that you guys took some of my recommendations. So please let me know if you do end up watching anything on this list. And also, if you have any of your own hidden gems that you want to recommend, also share them. I'm always down to watch new anime. I have huge long lists of what to watch, and I guarantee I will be probably more likely to watch something you guys recommend than anything on those lists. Unless it's already on my list, then it'll probably just be moved towards the top. But yeah, definitely let me know. I'm always down to watch new stuff, so feel free to share some of your hidden gems. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I release more anime videos, which will hopefully be twice a week, or just other fun videos on my channel. I hope you guys all enjoyed, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Love you. Bye.